This little area of water is what makes the whole fountain come alive. We don't want to paint it by chasing every tiny ripple one by one. Hi, I'm Beatriz. Welcome back to the studio. Today we're going to be painting a fountain, and I want to show you the way that I handle water, how I do the reflections and the ripples so that they feel connected and not overworked. I hope this helps you too. Here is the reference, and here is the finished painting. As you can see, the water is a small part of the scene, but it does a lot of the work. And because of that, we're going to start with the brightest water first. I'm only protecting the brightest water in the places where I don't want any color. While we allow the masking fluid to dry, let's just start making the color for the underpainting of the fountain. This is Belladonna. The Belladonna is by Michael Harding, and I'm mixing it with Indigo by Schmincke. We want to make it slightly gray, so let's just get a little bit of the brown Sienna by Winsor and Newton, and this should bring it into the gray. Alright, so now the safety net for the brightest water has dried, so it's time for us to put the underpainting on the fountain. Then we will move to the ripples. And yes, I start for this type of paintings, I like to start with a very detailed drawing, because this helps me quite a bit not to have to make changes while I'm painting, which is always more difficult. Talking about drawings, the paint I'll unpack for this painting is inside Open Studio and Patreon. I'll leave in here the QR code in case that you wanna check it out, and also I will put it on the pinned comment. What I'm doing right now is wetting on the parts that are going to be the darkest, because this is going to allow my colors to spread more even. So now it's time to bring the colors that we mix ahead of time and just drop it. And because I have my masking saving my water here, I can paint freely all like one big long shape. Just a little bit more of the same color, more diluted for this one, and we're gonna let all of this dry. I'm coming with more of the Belladonna and the same colors, more diluted, and we're gonna put a glaze all over by going here on the top. The idea here is to warm this up a little bit more. The idea is the light areas do not look white. Now that this part has dried, I'm gonna wet, and we're gonna put the underpainting for the water. Turquoise, Cobalt Turquoise, and probably this will not look like water yet. That's okay. I'm gonna just place the color where it will matter for later. A tiny little bit of masking when I was masking the water for a few reflections, and that's probably what you're gonna see, that it stays white, but that's it. While our bottom is drying, and since the top is dry, let's just go ahead and start doing some of the architectural lines. Same colors as before. Taking the opportunity to put like texture and darken a little bit in some areas. Go with color, then rinse your brush and just come with water. The idea here is not to put it all as smooth as we have it right now, but to break it into a few textured areas. And once this is dry, we go back with our darker colors. These lines which separates the column from the wall. And in some other areas, I just put the darker color a little bit inside, and then just go with a little bit of water, and that's how I make the edge. Some of them on the outside and some of them on the inside. As we go into the part that is hidden by the light, more of the Belladonna with a little bit of the brown Sienna, but we go with colors that are a little bit brighter. And while they are wet, then I come with the same colors from that, and I drop a couple like where it will be dark, a little bit here or there to break it up. Go with that, and then right away just spread it out with water. So we dark, and then we put texture, and then later we will come with the architectural lines. It's all done the same way, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in fast forward. So for example, this is darker than these columns, and especially this one come forward. So I wet, then I drop my darker colors, different combinations of the three colors that we've been using: Belladonna, Indigo, and Bronze Sienna. And then I drop my color. I get closer. I'm gonna switch to a brush that is a little bit thinner, so it gives me more control. Then I'm gonna start putting darker right next to this column, and you will see how this column is gonna pop in front of us. And little by little, our fountain is taking shape. I'm wetting a little bit of this, but I waited till both of the end sides were dry. And now we're gonna give a little bit of volume to this column, making it round. So I wet only in the middle. I'm gonna come with my darker colors of the same ones that I've been using. And I'm gonna drop from darker, and we're gonna make it turn around to lighter. All right. So over here I want to have a sharp edge. I rinse my brush and I start bringing some of these ones all the way to the edge. My brush doesn't have a whole lot of water. It's a little bit dumb. And I've been working fast, so everything is wet. So now I'm just gonna move this around. All the color that has been moving here. And I'm gonna give it kind of like a little turn to make it feel more like it is a round column. And this part over here in this area, I wanna bring it a little bit darker. All right, rinse, take almost everything out, spray. And I had to adjust this a little bit, but while I'm doing this, I'm doing it very carefully because I want to do like a negative painting, meaning when I go like this, I am painting actually the shape of this column, the bottom of the column. Well, I still have these colors in my palette. Before I lose them, it'd be a good time to apply the shadow that is here. Also start building the pedestal by going with the darker colors, and then switch to lighter ones and start blending. Wet, bring the darker color. I needed it here at the bottom to do the roundness of the pedestal. This part isn't light, so I'm gonna switch just to the Belladonna. I'm gonna bring it here at the bottom. I don't want a hard edge. I just want a little bit of color to mark this edge at the bottom. Go with water. Before the ripples can make sense, we need to do something first. So in this part, I'm gonna add the reflections of the fountain into the water. It's a small area, but it is important because without it, then the ripples will feel like something that is floated in the water. This is starting to take shape nicely. And now before I continue to finish this part, we're gonna have to bring our water to the same level. So I need to apply a second layer of my turquoise, but I am not going to put it freely over everything as I did before. This time I'm going to allow for some of the areas to continue to have this color. So I wet in the areas where I wanted to have a darker color. Okay. Then I bring my turquoise. And some of the areas, as I mentioned, I just want this original color that we have. So I paint around it. I'm not too concerned if I have what it looks a little bit like blossoms over there, because this is not the last layer that we are putting. So, and then I'm gonna also allow, this is the water coming that we saved, and then this is gonna have a reflection. So I am leaving this original color to be the color of the reflection. And once I have this area and a good stopping point, I'm just gonna come with a little bit of that color and break some of these. I don't have to break every single one, but just put a few breaking points. And just by the magic of contrast, these ones, they look like it was so bright, now they look like they're very pale. So in this water, we are having two different things. We're having the reflections, reflecting light into the water, and we are also having the ripples that the moving water is making. Right now, we are taking care of establishing our reflections by allowing some of this original color to show. Okay, and while this dry, we need to let this dry. Then we can go ahead and start finish this while we allow the water to dry. Now I have to be careful where I rest my hand. The indigo with the belladonna and adding some burnt sienna. In this case, I'm making it a little bit thicker so that I can have darker color, because this is going to be in shade. And let's just bring it here. So I play between that and the amount of each color, and also the amount of paint ratio to water that I'm using in order to make it darker or lighter. And I'm gonna put it here, and then I'm gonna blend in a second. And yes, right now it looks pretty dark. We're gonna blend, but also remember, watercolor dries lighter. We're gonna bring a little bit of that into this other end. And I'm gonna continue to do almost the same thing, a little bit warmer here, into this other end. So now with the darker version, we're gonna separate this step from this by putting a big dark crevice. One goes there. All right. This is still, I mean, it has dried to the touch, but it still has wetness. For what I need to do, it needs to be bone dry. So maybe we can use this time to put a little bit of warmth onto these areas. I'm gonna use I'm gonna use permanent rose. Into this permanent rose, I think I'm gonna pick up a little bit of Indian yellow, where the light is hitting, over here. This part as well. Alright, so since I have it there, I should put it here too. I'm gonna try not to disturb my color of my column. That is very nice. Actually, I'm very happy to have that one came. And then just tap with in some of these areas here too, almost like a glaze. Very fast with very diluted, so I not disturb the colors. That worked hard to put it in. And now we're gonna allow for all of these to dry. This is the part that I want you to try. Instead of putting the dark ripples at the very end, I'm gonna start putting the dark marks right now, and then I will connect everything else later. It will be easier. Let's try it. To these darker parts of the ripples, I'm adding indigo to my Cobalt Turquoise. The thing to keep in mind here is that some of these ripples obviously will be concentric, and it will get wider as it goes away from the splashing water. The splashing water is the one who is making these ripples. I'm going to put a few in between all these lights, and let's just put the impression of another one there, and then we're just going to break them. I don't want them to be completely one whole one that goes all across. We're going to break them, especially into the parts that have some light. As I am building these ripples, I'm also making sure that I don't put too much on my reflections. However, in some areas like here, it will go through some of those, and that's okay. And as we go farther away, we still give the impression that they are like breaking from one circle to the other, but of course they become less concentric, wider. Yes, this is gonna make it all look a little strange, but we will put it all together. Resist the temptation of thinking that this painting is not working. It's doing exactly what it needs to do at this stage. By putting this dark over here, I'm also separating the reflections of this and this. Remember, we are doing ripples, but we are also keeping the reflections. So a little bit zigzagging with the dark to get this other reflection popping up. This is actually pretty thick paint, so I'm gonna need to let it dry completely before we move on to the next step. before finishing our water. So let's just put a couple lines here. That give us the perfect time to finish the part of the fountain while we allow this to dry. Let's just put a few broken lines here. While I allow for this to dry completely, I'm gonna finish the area on the fountain that mattered the most, and that is where the water comes out of the water spout. But first I had to continue to put the shadow, so I'm going back with the same colors that I was having before, and then I'm gonna apply it in the part of the fountain that is end shape. Since you have seen me doing this before, I'm gonna time lapse so I don't bore you. First, I'm gonna come with a little bit of the Sienna, and I'm gonna put, because this is metal, I'm gonna put where the water is gonna come. If I put it closer here to my water, then the water will stand up more. So tap with water and blend until this line. Okay. And I also have quite a bit of shade here. Tap with water, bring it to this other line, more to less. I'm also going to put a few of the architectural lines. For example, I got a very dark one here that is also going to allow to get this water. I mean, for one is there, and for another one the water will pop even more. Need to let that dry. So it's a good time to put these other shadows. These are my darker shadows. We have a lighter one here, so I come with it. More of the Belladonna just in the corner. Then do the same thing, a little here at the edge, a little bit here closer to the water for what I mentioned before, and then tap with water. This drying up, yes. We are just going to put a few of these deep shadows, as crevices, enough to give our brain how it goes. I don't have to make it all around. Impressions. The shadows become stronger, more like cast shadows, if you will. So we have another one here, and notice how by putting this dark, the light appears even more. There, here, and around here. Tap with water. And in this part, I'm just gonna come now with some dark. We are creating impressions of the stone. Maybe this is marble, but I know that this needs to be a little bit darker, but I don't want it even. So I go with that, tap with water. And as I go away, it starts to get lighter, so then I put less and less. And these ones, I bring them into this other area. Obviously mixing the same three colors, but very, very dark. I'm gonna make it like where the water comes, it's almost black, the tube, if you will. So I'm gonna fill this. Underneath here it will be water. Once we remove the masking, we will do a couple of things. And although this is light, they can be such a huge contrast. So I'm bringing some of that, a little bit of permanent roses. I'm just trying to make a little bit of texture, and then I go with water. And some of the grays that I was using can be moved over here as well. And now we have arrived to the time where we're gonna put all this part of the water together. Picking up some of these leftovers that I have in my palette, I'm gonna start by applying a little bit of kind of grays and tap of here for the reflections of this part of the column. Just water, light, almost like a glaze, and tap of the turquoise that I already have. We'll let this dry, and once it's dry, I will remove all the masking and we will do the final pass. Now that we have removed all the masking, it's time for us to put the final pass Got a little bit of masking here. With Cobalt Turquoise, I have it fairly diluted, and I'm gonna go ahead and start adding like if I am putting a glaze. Go from one side to the other, and then allow these colors to blend. I am not pushing, I am just dropping my color here. And yes, I'm gonna bring a little bit of my dark here to mark better where the reflection will finish. And then a watercolor is as important what we put in as what we left. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna come in a minute, and then we're gonna do a little bit of lifting. Well, I allow for this to dry. I'm gonna get the leftovers, some leftovers of what I have here in my palette, and we're gonna start doing this water. Now I'm gonna try to do it now, but if you feel like it's hard, wait till this dries, and then you can go ahead and do it. This will come around, so it will be a shadow here, perhaps a little bit darker. Okay, now you can see it better. Yes, we want to put some of the colors they are behind will be showing through the water, because water is transparent. But we also need to allow all this, do not cover all the white. I'm really loving this painting. I think that it's almost done. Just gonna do a couple of things, and these are optional. For example, if you wanna get some of these white areas a little bit brighter, go with a brush with a little bit of water. Obviously, you have to do this once the whole glaze has been dry. Go like this, take water, and lift. Now, you can do this because this area was light to start with already. Drop, wait for a minute, go with your tissue, lift. And I'm lifting very, very little. I'm working on cotton paper, so I wet. I allow for my fibers to open. Pretty much I'm dropping the water. Now when the fibers have opened, I go with the tissue, and then I lift enough for it to show. And finally, I have these little drops of water here that look a little fakey. I'm coming with my brush that is a little bit more firm, and then I can break. I want the white, I just don't want it to be so straight. So pick one of the sides, just grab a little. If you want to, it's gone with the same colors. If you still have them, this is totally and completely optional. And then you can just drop a little bit of that color inside, or some of the ones that you want to break up, make it bigger or smaller. Just drop that, go with water, top, and then that's another way that you could do it instead of just using the brush. All right, I'm gonna call this painting done. The idea that I want you to take out of this video is that to paint water, we don't need 1,000 little lines. Protecting the brightest water first, yes, with some masking, and then slowly building the different lights, and then putting it all together towards the end. I hope that you learned something out of this video. If you're interested in Patreon, of course, I will link it below. I thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.